Hello, friends, and welcome to the Friend Leigh Show. I am your host and friend, Leigh. Yes, I will laugh every time I say that because it's so cute. So today we are going to be talking about whatever you or I want to talk about. Every Wednesday, we go live at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. Central on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch. We're all over the place. And this is my favorite episode of the week because this is the episode that we have conversation with our community. And yes, sometimes we have a topic and we talk about that topic for the full 45 minutes, hour. But many times it ends up being the way the majority of my conversations go, that we have the intention of talking about one thing and then somehow it it kind of evolves into something else. And that is what I love about this show. So tonight, we actually don't have a topic. And I've gone through a couple of them that I was like, oh, this would be cool to talk about. This would be cool to talk about. And normally I have an episode that I did earlier in the week that we can also talk about. But this week I did not do it. And I was going to apologize, but you know what? You guys are just going to get to know me that I really have good intentions and I sometimes can't do it all. And we're friends and I'm hoping that you're going to give me grace. And usually that's what we do, right? We give our friends grace if they're not showing up 100% the way that they want to. It's us that don't give ourselves grace. So I think I'm going to probably be harder on myself than you're going to be on me. At least I'm hoping that's the case. So I do see that we have. Is it because something is going on and I don't get what it is? Okay. Anyway, hopefully you guys can hear me and see me. If you are watching this and you are able to just let me know, um, so we will try this again. Hello, I am your friend, Leigh, and the host of the Friend Leigh Show. Okay, Monique said she can hear me. Wonderful. So let's get into it. So, in case you couldn't hear the beginning part of this, some freezing is happening. Okay, hopefully, this is not going to. I just shut some of I had tabs open at the top. So, maybe that's what it was. So, I did just close those. Hopefully, everything will be okay. Monique, if you do watch this for the whole show, can you just let me know? Anyway, so typically we talk about the previous episode that week, but then it always morphs into something else. And so this week there was not a episode to kind of have as the springboard. So the floor is open. I call it open mic because it's whatever you want this conversation to be. I will bring up a few things that I would love to talk about but then I know that it's going to morph and I hope it morphs. So I would love for you to be a part of the conversation. If you're new here, it is the Wednesday night show. If you have a comment, if you have a comment, it is probably going to just come up on the screen. So if you don't want that to happen, then just maybe write private and then dash and whatever you want. Okay. So hopefully you got that. So here we go. Ooh, Val is here. Hello, Val. So Val says, "Hi, Leigh. It's Val. We met at Frank's Wednesday Wisdom. Looking forward to watch your show today." Awesome. Well, hello. Okay, so Val is this like amazing human being. She has so much stuff going on. And she is an introvert. And okay, so Val, we're friends now, okay? So this is what's gonna happen. So she's an introvert, but she decided to come to a networking meeting tonight. And I was just so impressed with her because I get really nervous going to networking things. And some people, when they see me, they're like, oh, but you're so extroverted. I am not. So I am nervous kind of the whole time that I'm there, especially when I am not talking to somebody. So usually when I go into the conversation with somebody or somebody that knows me comes up, we'll have conversation and it's okay. Like it's when I'm in that one-to-one, great, right? The moment that somebody else comes into the fold or the person that I'm talking to is like, "Oh, I just gotta go say hi to so and so," and they leave and I'm there, I'm just like, "Oh, now what? Who do I talk to? What do I do? Like, how do I not look weird?" And Val looked so like calm and cool. And she was just like, she had her glass and she was just kind of like observing the people that were talking. But I was like, I wonder if she's not as cool and calm and collected because people have said that that's what I look like. Meanwhile, inside my skin, I'm like a pack of nerves. So I just went up to her and just introduced myself. I was actually on my way out and then we got into this really cool conversation. And Val, we didn't even finish the conversation, so we're going to have to do that too. But she's wanting to get into like a not for profit, maybe create her own. So I'm just really, really happy that I went to go and reach out to her. And I asked her, because you guys know, like, I'm curious. I get this from my grandfather, actually. My nanu, my mom always said that, like, if he was curious about something, I never met him. He passed before I was born. But my mom said that he would, like, if somebody came, into his view that was like maybe a little bit different. She tells a story of this man that came to their house for dinner and he had a peg leg, like he had a wooden leg. And my nana like warned him and was like, okay, so I don't know what his name was. Let's say Phil. Phil's coming over and don't say anything, okay? Just don't say anything. Just let him be. Immediately when he walked in, he was like, so tell me, how'd that happen? And I think that is so cool. Like that is one of the stories that I have about my grandfather that I was just like, that is cool because he wasn't trying to make him feel awkward. He was just like, hey, there's obviously a story behind it. I want to hear about it. And when you walk in and you're different or something's different, then you're going to like you're going to have these questions, other people are going to have these questions, nobody's going to talk about it, it's going to become the elephant in the room. So when I asked Val, I was just like she could have very easily been like, "No, I'm just observing and seeing who I want to talk to." But I just asked the question that I would have liked to have been asked and was like, "Are you nervous being here? Like, why aren't you in there talking to people instead of," and she's like, "Yeah, I am." And she immediately, "I'm an introvert." And I was like, "Me too." And then we got to be friends. And now, like, I told her about the show. I was like, "I'm leaving because I'm going to be late for my show." But she was like, "Yeah, let me see." And now she's here. And now we're friends. Val, we're friends. Okay. So just so you know. So that was a long-winded way of saying, like, ask people if if they're by themselves, ask them like why they're by themselves. Cause some people just like to be by themselves. And I totally get that. And that's fine. And then they would be like, listen, weirdo, please back off. I want to be alone. But the majority of time, and I've said this before, I did a live in our Facebook group where I was like, I came back from a networking group and I was like, you guys, 90% of us are nervous, and especially coming out of the pandemic, the majority of us are nervous coming in to networking meetings, to public situations, to all of it. So, Val, kudos to you because you just look so confident standing there. You were just like, I was nervous coming up to you, but then I was like, I just want to find out. So, anywho, long-winded rant there. Facebook user who I'm not sure who you are, you do have to go up to the top of where the description is, and at the bottom it says you have to like click on StreamYard/Facebook and then it will you have to allow them to see your name. So just if you could put in your name and then who you are, then that would be helpful. But this Facebook user says, missed Frank's event tonight. Kids needed Uber mom. You never look nervous at networking events. Okay, so Uber mom, I'm guessing this is Elizabeth, but it is. Well, you have 17 kids, so of course you're always going to be busy. She does not have 17, but it feels like it sometimes. Yeah, the event was really, really good, and I'm nervous every single time. And I am nervous going in every single time. And I'm always looking for the way out. And you could just assume that I'm always nervous. So Like when I went to volunteer for your event, nervous the whole time. So that's just me, but I do it anyway. And here's why. I do the networking and I do the volunteering. It's not even for business. So people are like, "Oh, well, yeah, okay, you're a good business person because you wanna go and, like, advertise." I actually, in the majority of the time, I just wanna find out about other people, so I actually don't really talk about my business that much when I'm networking, but I get to know people, and that is one of my favorite things to do. It does take a lot out of me because I'm so nervous about it, and I try to talk myself out of it. If anybody, we can actually talk about that here. Do you have a tip if you, like, have this nervousness, when you go into social settings, do you have a tip of what you do to make it just, like, so you're not nervous every time? Have you gotten over that? Have you fixed it? Val, you went to it and you are an introvert and you did it. How do you do it? So for me, um, it's really helpful if I tell people that I'm going and tell people that I know that won't just accept this networking event in particular. I have told the Frank who runs the whole thing, telling him is not good enough because Frank is very sweet. And so Frank will be like, "No, I understand that you're busy. I understand. It's okay. Hopefully I'll see you next time." But a lot of the time I am busy. But more so is that I get in my head and I'm so nervous that I'm like, there'll be 70 people at that event. They won't need me. They don't need, they won't miss me if I'm not there. And I talk myself out of it. And I was like, I'm just going to go home. I'm just not going to go. Um, so I let myself not go to these things but asking somebody or telling somebody that I'm going to meet you there, then I'll make sure that I show up. And so this one, I actually had a friend. She was an older friend that I haven't talked to in probably a year, maybe even longer. Cynthia, let me know how long it's been. I don't even know. Anyway, she reached out to me today just randomly, and then we were going to go for a walk tomorrow, and I asked her. I was like, "Hey, are you going to Frank's thing?" And she didn't know about it. And so she actually is recovering from a concussion. And I said, "Well, if you want to go, if it's not too overstimulating, I can drive you." And not thinking that, like, oh, this is going to be what I need, but boy, did it turn out that that's what I needed, because then now I'm picking her up and I'm dropping her off, so I have to be there, right? Would I have canceled and not gone tonight? Maybe. I'd like to say no, but maybe. But knowing that I Cynthia was waiting on me, then I went, and it was so awesome. We saw so many people, and the conversations that we were having, I know that some people there were very business, and that's great, and they were talking about their businesses, but all the conversations that I ended up getting to have were talking about, like, "Oh, this is, one of my first big events that I'm going to since the pandemic," because we get so comfortable just being alone, and how good it felt to be around people, and how some people were forcing themselves to be there even though they didn't want to be there. Like, they wanted to, but it was hard. Like me, it's hard to go there. So it was really cool, the conversations that we were having. So I'd love to know from you, like, do you have the same thing? Are you nervous going to events? Um, and how do you combat it? Do you go anyway? Are you the one that cancels all the time? I don't know. I'd love to hear that. So, um, see, that's how these conversations go. All of Wednesday night, our episodes, I always want you to feel like you are just in my living room. We're on a couch and we're just gabbing, um, because such good conversation comes out of it. And so I didn't know what we were going to talk about today, but then when Val came on, it gave me something to talk about. Um, so what do you want to talk about? You're here. I see eyeballs. So what is something that you guys would, if we were just sitting in our living room, what would you want to be talking about? What's going on in your life right now that you're just like, this is hard, or man, I did this and it really worked out for me. Or do we want to share our little wins? That's something that I do in my mastermind. We always start mastermind and book club. We always start with our little wins. Um, so you can tell me what, like, a little win was. Uh, I will tell you a little. It was a fun little incident today. And then I will cut myself off when somebody else chats in the comments. So I had to go to a doctor's appointment this morning, and it was really interesting because it's this new building, and like when you go to get your ticket for your parking, you normally like go into the gate, get a ticket, and then you can pay for it when you get out. Well, at this one, they don't have a grab a ticket. You just go in and the gate opens and then you go out. Well, I thought it meant free parking. So I was like, "Oh, is this ever nice?" But then when you go in, it's actually not free parking. It's $4 parking. And there's a machine on the other side of the building that you have to pay at. And then you get a ticket that allows you to get out. So this is my second time there. The first time somebody was nice enough to tell me, because I don't know what I would have done. But so this time I went to go do it. And so I am second car in line. And this lady, I can see her. She's getting so frustrated and she's pushing this button on the thing. And so I got out of my car, like put it in park, and then I went over to her and I was like, "Hi. So did you get your ticket for you to pay to get out of here?" And she's like, "No." And I was like, "Well, you're supposed to, so I think you might have to go back in order to get that." And she was like, "I didn't even go into the doctor's." She says, "I went in to go to the urgent care and the whatchamacallit," she was like, my health card expired, and so I couldn't even get served, and so now I just wanna leave, and I'm trying to, like, get the person's attention here, and nobody's calling me," and she was so flustered and so, like, upset with it. So now I was thinking, and I was like, "Man, most people would just sit in their car behind this lady and maybe even honk their horn, get irritated, and be like, 'What is she doing? She doesn't know what she's doing. This is, like, feeding into my time.'" So anyway, when I told her, I was like, "Well," I said, "this isn't really allowed." I shouldn't even be saying this out loud because I don't know if I can get in trouble for it. But anyway, I was like, "Well, if you want, because they're not picking up the intercom thing, if you want, I'll back up my car. You back up your car. I'll go in first. Follow my car. And maybe," I said, "I don't know. The gate might go down on you, but you can take the chance if you want to do that, like, or go in and pay your $4." She's like, "I'm not paying my $4 because I didn't get served." And I was like, "Okay, that's okay." So then as I'm walking to my car, there's another car that comes behind us. So I went to her and I was like, "Excuse me, do you mind just backing up, letting me get in front of this lady, then she's gonna go, and then you could go after if you don't mind." And I had a smile on my face the whole time. And she's like, "Of course, no problem. Have a good day." And I was like, "Oh, thanks, you too." So we did it, and then it worked. That lady had such a big smile on her face when she left, and she was like, "Thank you," through the windshield, so I could see it in my rear view. And I thought, man, that diffused like, maybe the rest of her day, just, like, getting mad at the person behind the intercom, and then getting mad with the rest of her day, and, like, who knows what coulda happened. She coulda gotten in an accident in the car because she was, like, frustrated. Like, we don't know these little nice things that we do, how those can, like, trickle out for the rest of the day, or how, like, in that situation, if I didn't get out of the car to try to help her, I could have gotten frustrated. The person behind me could have got frustrated. Everybody could have had like just a shit show of a day. But instead, like trying to find the answer to the problem that's in front of you, and then trying to be kind with everybody around you. It's just so magical. And like, I hope you guys know me well enough. Well, Val, you might not because we're just new friends, but I don't tell these stories to like brag about like, "Oh, look at me. I'm doing these great things in the community." I don't care, but I do them, and I don't even think about doing them. But then when I come on the show or when I go to do a Facebook Live or whatever, I think back to those things and I'm like, "Man, these are good examples of what other people could just do." We could just be kind to people, and we could just chill out a little bit and like figure out how to make somebody else's day a little bit easier, which will also make our day a little bit easier, because that was like that whole interaction. And thankfully I was just like, that's the way that I think. I kind of have like a little bit of an engineer's mind. So like that was a very Tetris-y kind of thing for me to do. Thankfully I was able to come up with that really quickly, but that whole conversation was like maybe 3 minutes. maybe. And then all of us got to get out. We all got to get on with our day. So I would love for you guys to share either here in this show so we can talk about it, or in our Facebook show. What are some things that you do during the day that you don't even think about that's like maybe helping somebody else? Even like holding the door. People don't do that anymore. Do you hold the door for people? Do you smile at people when you're walking by? Are you kind? Do you compliment people? I do not think that you should compliment people if you don't mean it. Because people can tell that you're being a fraud. Like, if somebody, I don't know, if somebody's wearing an outfit that just looks ridiculous and you don't like it, and you're like, "Oh, I love your outfit." Like, they're gonna know that you're being sarcastic or you're trying to force something that's not true. But I do believe that if there's something that, like, you're impressed with, or something that is, like, really nice, or something that, like, you think is pretty, like, share it with somebody. There was a lady when I go to Starbucks, and please, guys, stop me. You guys can have something in the comments, but, um, there was a lady at Starbucks today, and you guys know if you're in our Facebook group, um, that I have this new habit of when I go to Starbucks in the morning, I park in the other store's parking lot because I want to be able to walk further. So I walk through 2 parking lots to get to the Starbucks. And so I was walking by this lady's car, and she had this beautiful Lexus. It was like this sport Lexus. If you're watching this, lady, and you have a gray and black Lexus sport, I don't even know what model it was, but it was stunning. So anyway, I wanted to go and compliment her, but she was like actually at the window working with the barista, whatever. And so I waited to go in because I was like, oh, she'll be done in a few seconds. She'll pull out. Her window will still be open from talking to the barista. I'll tell her that I love her car and we'll be away. Well, she didn't leave. I don't know what she was doing, but it was taking forever. So I went back in, got my order, came out, and then she was still in the barista's line. So, and she was putting makeup on. So like I waved to her and she just smiled, and I said, love your car. Like, and I just showed her car, and then I gave her the thumbs up. She was so like smiley, and she's like, thank you. I shouldn't be whispering because if you're listening to this in the audio, that was weird. But she was like, thank you. And it was so nice. Like, and then I was thinking, there's a lot of people that would be, well, I'm not going to compliment her. I mean, it's a beautiful car, but I'm not going to compliment her. She knows it's a beautiful car. She spends a lot of money on that car. She doesn't need to hear, I don't need her head to be even bigger than it already is. Um, and I know that that's human nature, that like that's what you would think. Um, but it was just so nice. And then she was just like a regular human. We're all regular humans. It doesn't matter what our position is, how much money we have, how little we have, what we're doing, what we're not doing. At the end of the day, we are all human, and we all want connection, and we all need connection. So, that's just another example of how like we get to have these connections with people. And I really, 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 really want you guys to be sharing them in the podcast and in the Facebook group. Because I don't want me just sharing these stories, because I know you have stories. I know you do these types of things throughout your day or throughout your week. And I want you to share them, because it's not boasting, but like, we don't have any problem complaining about the weather, about the news, about politics, about the bad day that we had, about feeling bad, feeling sick, any of this kind of stuff. Nobody looks at it like, well, wow, are you ever bragging about how sick you are? No. People hear, oh, I'm feeling sick again, and like, oh, I'm always sick. And then they latch on, and it's like, "Yeah, I know. I'm always sick. Oh my gosh, I know." And then it's like this bond that happens, and we connect based on all the shit that's happening in our world. And then for some reason we think, "Well, I don't wanna brag that I had a good day. I don't wanna brag that I got a promotion. I don't wanna brag that I was happy all day." You know? it's not bragging. It's just talking about the good things in our life, and I think we need to do more of it. I think we should be talking about the nice things that we do for other people because it gives people another example of what we could be doing, you know? Um, are there comments and I'm just missing them? Because this is just so weird that I'm just picturing you guys all in the living room with me right now. And I'm like, I feel like I'm up on the like coffee table, just being like, la, 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 everybody listen to me. So please share your life with me right now. But this is also what I kind of do. I kind of also, friends of mine know I do get into like these little rants and these things. So, what I would like is can somebody that's listening to this, Monique, maybe that's you, Val, maybe it's you, Elizabeth, can you please comment if you can actually hear me? Because maybe you can't hear me and this is a problem. Um, I'm not sure. So now I'm going to just kind of look and see. Um, I don't know. Anyway, okay, so weird. So I'm going to just talk about one other thing then until I see that I am live. So one more thing that I want to talk about that I think would be neat for us to do in the Facebook group or in the I can hear you. Thank you, Val. Okay. So what are some things Val, how was the experience? You're introverted, you went to like one of the biggest so this event that we went to tonight is like one of the biggest free networking groups that Windsor has. There were at least 70 people that were there. And this is just a monthly get together. And that just shows how much we need connection. So, how did you feel? Like you were, I know, nervous going in like I was. How did you feel coming out of it? Did it feel good that you went? Were you proud of yourself that you went? Were you like, I'm never going to do this again? I'd be curious. So I am super proud of you that you did that. And if you're listening to this and, is there something that you've done this week that you were like, oh, it's going to be really hard, but you did it anyway and you felt good afterward, or you were like, I will never do that again. Let's share those types of things. Because I find for me and in this podcast, in the show, in the Facebook, it is always whenever I'm talking, I'm only talking from my own experience or things that I've learned from other like actual scientists. But in general, I'm always just sharing my story and I want you guys to do the same because we all have different stories and we all have different experiences. But for me, when I follow through on doing the things that I was called to do, that, I said yes to, and when I follow through on those things, it usually, for the most part, not always, but for the most part, it turns out, man, am I ever glad I did that? That was hard. And I almost turned around and I almost didn't get out of my car. I almost canceled, but boy, am I happy that I did. And I think unless you're a complete people pleaser that you're just saying yes to everything, for the most part, we say yes to things because we have something in us that wants to be there. If somebody came to me and was like, oh, there's a devil worship ceremony that's happening on Saturday night. Do you want to come? I wouldn't be like, yeah, okay, and then regret it, right? I'd be like, not my jam. Thanks so much, right? So if you said yes to something that you want to go to, at some level you want to go, unless you're totally, like I said, people pleasing and as soon as you say it that you don't want to go. But for the most part, we do. And then what happens is we've talked about this on the show. The day comes that we have to actually show up, and then we're like, ugh, no, I'd rather just stay home by myself. Or no, that's going to be too anxious or too nerve wracking or too whatever. And then we talk ourselves out of the goodness of that connection. The other tip that I want to give you is that if you do say yes to something and immediately you have that feeling like, ooh, why did I just say yes? I don't want to go to it. You're allowed to change your mind. You're allowed to say, hey, oh my gosh, you know what? I know that I said that I want to go to that, but I actually, you know what, and you don't have to make an excuse. People are like, "Oh yeah, just like find something else to do," and then say that, it's you're double booked. You don't have to. You can say, "You know what? Actually, it doesn't feel like a good use of my time. It sounds really fun for you and I'm really excited that you're doing it and thank you for inviting me, but I don't really want to go to it. I hope you understand and I hope that you invite me to whatever else you have going on cuz hopefully we can do that together." Right? Like you can be kind, but also be honest that you don't want to go to something because then they're just going to keep asking you for the same thing and then you're going to have to keep like either bailing the last minute or not enjoying yourself while you're there, right? So, okay, so Val says it was a mixed feeling halfway through. My introverted side said we'd not come back because it was awkward. Oh my gosh, I love it. That was a really cool. Did you guys read that? Okay, so it says my introverted side said we'd not come back because it was awkward. I love that. But talking to you, and other person, I came out with the thought of willing to try it again. Awesome, awesome. That's so good. Val also says, "Thank you so much for talking to me. Hopefully one day I'll be doing that for another introvert." Yes, do it. Seriously. And here's the thing. We're all introverts. Like there even the people like think about it after the pandemic, even the people that were like kind of extroverted, they like if they were at all on the introverted side, chances are they're more introverted coming out of the pandemic. So it's pretty safe to say that there is the majority of people in that room that are nervous. And we can also tell because of the way that people are having conversations is that when we're in networking things, like people gravitate to somebody that they know. And so if we were fine walking in, we wouldn't be scanning the room for the person we know, right? If you're going to a networking thing and you were actually extroverted and you wanted to meet people that you don't know, that's the point of networking. We would just start talking as soon as we go in. But what I find fascinating is I watch and people come in and they are scanning that room for somebody that they know, or they're scanning them for somebody that they know, or the person that invited them, or the host of the party, right? Because then they say, "Okay, that's what I'm going to do." Or they go to the bathroom or to get a drink immediately, right? So the introverts, you can find them around the bar because they're doing something so they don't have to network, right? They're buying the drink or they're whatever, or they're in the bathroom. And that was my go-to. My go-to is like I didn't do it this time. But my go-to usually is come in, scan the room. I don't see anybody I know, going to the bathroom. Cause now I can like just collect myself. Maybe I'll meet somebody in there that I know and then leave. So yeah, Val, I really do hope that you do the same for somebody else while you're there the next time that you go. And I'm glad that you're willing to try it again. So Frank's events are really, really good. I don't know if he's changed it. I think he still does it once a month, maybe once every other month. But yeah, I'm gonna try to start going to them more often because they really are so good. And he started the Wednesday Wisdom. The reason why that name is there is because every Wednesday during the pandemic we had a Zoom call that he put together because he knew that we weren't having the connection, that there were a lot of people that were working from home and not seeing anybody. And so he had an hour networking thing on Zoom every Wednesday so then we could all kind of connect, talk about something, do this, what we're doing here. So it was very, very cool. And so now he's made it into an in-person thing and it's really, really awesome. So I hope to see you next month if it's next month. Um, but yeah, whatever one you go to, I hope you pass that along. And I hope if you're listening to this, not Val, I mean Val, yeah, but if you're not Val, I'm also talking to you. I hope that you can reach out to people that you know, like, or ask them if they're are you shy being here? Because I am. I'm shy. Like, are you nervous being here? How are you feeling about being here? Like, be my nunu. Ask the question that like everybody's thinking. But it was funny because with Val, I really wasn't sure because she looked so confident. Um, but I was like, it doesn't add up for me because if she's confident, why isn't she in that room talking to everybody and like just, you know? So that was the only reason why I was like, okay, I'm gonna go. But I was like, maybe she's gonna tell me to get lost. Who knows? So anyway, okay. You know what, guys? Okay, it is like 35 minutes. We try to keep these like between 45 minutes to an hour, sometimes half an hour, depending on how the conversations are going. Usually they get closer to an hour. But I feel like I've just been rambling this whole time. I'm going to be really interested when I listen to it after because I do listen to them once they hit the podcast. So I've been telling you guys that we are everywhere that your podcasts are. But Val, did we figure out that it's not on Apple Podcasts? Or no, we did find it. So if you are on any of the podcasts, because we are such a new show, you actually have to put in the whole show. So it is the Friend Leigh Show. It might not pop up if you just called the Friendly, like you don't write show as well. So just a little FYI there. So I would love it if you guys would, do all the things that you do for podcasts, like subscribe and rate it if you like it. If you don't like it, you can just not show up and you don't have to give me like a little score. You can just not rate it and not ever waste your time with me again. But if you are enjoying it, I would love, love, love for you to share it with your friends. If you are on Facebook, I would love for you to join us over there. Um, and what does Val say? Val says, and you might have to scroll down a bit if you don't see it on the top. Thank you, Val. Yes, we did have to do that. So it is a bright pink background. So just keep scrolling until you see the pink. And thank you for that, Val. And very sweet of you. Yeah, and subscribe. And we're over on YouTube. The main place where I am physically, that I see most of the comments is on Facebook, but we do the show in all these other places. Also, I should have done this at the beginning of the show, but if you are watching this on First Day Pod, hello, Mike and I will be doing an episode this coming week because we are going to be together for an entire week. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited about that. For those of you that don't know, my husband and I, we do not live together yet. He's American, I'm Canadian. So we see each other usually just on the weekends because of work. But I have worked my schedule that I'm seeing all of our clients this week and then the following week. So I've cleared out my schedule that I can just work from his house all week next week. So I am so excited about that I get to see my husband for like 8 days in a row. I don't know what we're going to do. It's so good, but we're both going to be working during the day, but we are going to do a First Day Pod episode at some point next week. So look for that. And that is it. So I love you guys. I am going to wrap it up right now unless there is something that somebody wants to say or ask or get my opinion on or get the community's opinion on. Facebook user says, come visit me in the USA. Okay. Who are you? Hello. You let me know. I'll come and visit you. Is that Kelly? Is that Kelly? I don't know. Okay. So, gosh, I wish I knew. These Facebook users really throw me off. And I say this every time, but it really is like we're in my living room and you come in with like a masquerade mask on and I'm like, can I tell by your body? No, it's Yvette. Hey, Yvette. Yes. Okay. So perhaps, yes, I will maybe see you next week. So he lives out in Brighton. So we're no longer in Livonia. That was a lot more convenient. But we will see. I do miss you, woman. And Val says, do you meet every Wednesday at 8? Yes, every single Wednesday at 8. So we do one show throughout the week that is either, I think that'll start being just an audio show. So it's not as back and forth for people that are listening to it in the audio. But every Wednesday we're here. And typically we'll have a theme or a topic that we'll talk about, but usually it derails this way that we just kind of start talking and squirreling into something else. So I hope you enjoyed it, Val. It was really, really a pleasure meeting you tonight. And I'm so happy that I thought about inviting you to this. And that's another big thing is that, like, when we meet people, if we can keep them in our world, it's really cool, And so try to think of ways that you can, when you have a connection with somebody, that you can kind of keep that connection going. I wish Kelly was here because she has a amazing story about how she went out of her comfort zone and now she has a new friend too. So, um, anyway, maybe she'll share that with us next week. So I love you guys. I hope that you all have a wonderful, wonderful week. Big hugs and love. And I will see you on Wednesday or earlier. Bye, guys.